the stomachs are full and attention is fully here, because the topic that we are going to discuss here is, I think, very important, because ultimately everything is done for consumers, right? Customers, and if their experience is not good, so however ever effort we put in, that's in vain, I would believe. And Breck here comes in with a wealth of experience when it comes to customer experience, and how GCCs can drive innovation in this space, and embed customer centricity into enterprise DNA. So thank you, Breck, for joining us. Next 15 minutes is for us to talk about how CX is changing, what innovations are coming in. So, uh, in your, in the context of GCCs, of course, uh, in your view, how is it that you're building how do you build a future-ready customer experience? Because we are evolving every day, right?
Yeah, well, thank you, Saurabh, for having me today. I'll give a little bit of background on Burns and McDonnell first. We're a 130-year-old EPC company that's based in the U.S. We are primarily in the infrastructure industry, with locations across Canada, Mexico, the UK, and of course, here in India, we have two GCCs, one in Mumbai and one in Bangalore. I think as we look at what our customer experience looks at, we have to think about three different customers. We have our end client, right, which is our captive entities clients. We have our captive entity, which is our customer, and then we have our internal customers, which are our employees. And I think the piece that we miss the most is our internal customers. And one thing that Burns and McDonnell is extremely focused on is how do we provide the best experience for our internal customers? And that means providing opportunity, providing the best benefits, providing the best opportunity for career growth and project experience for our internal customers, which are our 2,000 employee owners across India.
All right. So you bucketed it into three.
Mhm.
Is there you talked about that internal, so how the other ones placed, how are the other ones you look at this?
Yeah, so 90% of our external business is repeat business. So our clients are very much built on reputation of quality, schedule performance, budget performance, all the typical KPIs you measure an engineering and construction firm on are very important to us. But beyond that, it's the relationship piece. So building that relationship externally is extremely important to our captive entity. But when we look at our GCC, what's important to us is building that same strength of partnership with our captive entity. So we don't look at ourselves as a high value engineering center or a place for cost arbitrage. We look at ourselves as a true partner and a true extension of our captive entity.
Okay. All right. So, when you talk about consumer experience, so how do you define success, especially taking into account
Mhm.
scalability?
Yeah, so like I said before, there's the typical KPIs, right? You have quality, you have schedule, you have budget performance, you have cost. All those are very important to our customers. But the other part of it is how efficient are we when we compare ourselves to our Western counterparts? How much value can we add outside of cost? What new revenue streams can we provide that maybe we aren't providing? How do we add value beyond just the cost arbitrage? And I think that's what's most important for us when we look at our US or captive entity from a customer perspective.
So, when it comes to, your, delivery model, so what role does, digital transformation play?
Yeah.
And how do you see GCCs doing in the coming, probably, say, 5 years in this space?
Yeah, so very good question. I think there's been a lot of talk about AI and automation and innovation and how the industry is going to change over the next 3 to 5 years. I wish I had a crystal ball to say I know where it's going. I don't, but it is one thing that I can tell you that we as a company are laser focused on. We're no longer going to be executing projects the way we do today. There's going to be new tools that we're creating in-house. There's going to be partnerships we're building with different technology firms to leverage their experience they've already created to help us build more efficient ways of doing business. So the careers that we're building today have to be ready to pivot to a new direction in the next 3 to 5 years. And I think it's very important to have a very nimble workforce, a workforce that is open to change, and a workforce that is willing to take on new opportunities and new ways of doing business that they're not doing right now.
Yeah, it's good that you said that. You wish you knew what happens in the next 3 to 5 years, because that's like stock market. You don't know, and then especially in AI, something called DeepSeek comes, and then everything turns on its head.
Right.
We don't know. I mean, you can prepare, but you have to prepare for eventualities as well. I guess that's the rule. Uh, Customer expectations. And with it's evolving every day, and the younger generation which is coming up, they're even more focused on what they see, what they experience. So their expectations are also to be taken care of. So what are some of the global, if I may say, best practices or technologies that you've seen GCCs adopt to stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, I think one, building your own in-house technology solutions group is incredibly important. To be on the vanguard of that AI change and that innovation change is incredibly important, and that's something that we focus on. I believe it's also incredibly important to make sure that you're in touch with your customers beyond just a project level. It can't be transactional. It has to be a true partnership beyond just here's a project, here's a cost, get the job done. So you need to know what your customer needs and what your customer wants from a very intimate level to be able to provide that experience that they're looking for, and to be able to provide the value they're looking for that's outside of the typical model.
Okay, all right. So if you allow, if you're okay to take some questions, probably,
Yeah,
if there,
absolutely.
there are some. So anyone has any questions around consumer experience or customer expectations, that how it should be? If you have, please raise your hand. We can pass on the mic. Anyone? Any questions here? Okay, probably after three more questions, we'll have more hands seen there. So coming back to customer experience, talent is at the heart of it,
Yes.
right? So, and the theme of this event is also talent transformation. So in my previous session there, we heard that there is a move towards tier 2 cities and toward tier 3 cities as well. So how should organizations think about building skill pipelines and customer experience centers of excellence in given this kind of evolution that's happening?
Yeah, so right now we're based in tier 1 cities only, Mumbai and Bengaluru. But I think as you look out in the future, tier 2 and tier 3 cities are going to play a major part in the growth of GCCs. There is, I think, 140 crore people in India. So there's more smart people in India than there are total people in the West. So there's a ton of talent in India, but there's a ton of companies competing for that talent. So where you go next really depends on where you can find that top talent and how you can best position yourself to compete with all those other GCCs that are looking for that same talent. So when we look at where we're going to go next, it's going to be based on infrastructure, obviously, which tier 2 and tier 3 cities are catching up on, where people are willing to go and where people are willing to move to. We have a very strong people-focused culture. So before we go to a new city, we need to make sure we have folks that are already with our organization that are willing to go to that city, to plant the flag, to build the culture and establish the culture before we make the move. So if we have a mass of people that want to move to an Indore or an Ahmedabad or a tier 2 or 3 city that we can make sure are going to bring our culture with them and establish the correct culture, then we're going to be willing to make that move.
You made a very interesting observation that India has more talented people than the population of the West. That's a blessing for us,
Absolutely.
but a burden also because we need to employ them, and that's something that we were focusing in the morning. That we need people who can be employed, but there is also an onus on companies to employ people who are and train them and skill them. That's another. One more question that comes to my mind is: do you think tier 2, tier 3 cities are ready or have enough good infrastructure to to become a center where GCCs really can go and find that kind of talent? Because talent also moves to tier 1 cities actually.
I think the
And then you have
infrastructure.
remote working also, that also works. So do we really need to be in tier 2, 3 cities?
So we have not yet seen the need. We're not to the point where, and we've grown significantly over the last 12 years we've been in India. We've not yet seen the need to go to a tier 2 or tier 3 city yet, but I could see a day where we do need to move to a new location to continue our talent pipeline. Now, right now it's solid, but like I said, 3 to 5 years from now, I can't predict where that talent's going to come from. I do believe at our company, we have people that are willing to go anywhere for the right opportunity. So if we were to open a new location in one of those cities, I'm confident that we would have people that would be willing to go start that organization for us and then attract the local talent and bring the folks with them that will establish a new office for us.
All right. Breck, final question to you. From your vantage point, how can, I mean, it's an oft asked question, but then nevertheless very important, which is that how can GCCs evolve from, cost centers to value creation hubs when it comes to customer experience, especially?
Yeah, I think what's incredibly important is retention of your top employees. The only way you can evolve from a cost center to a high value engineering center to a transformation hub to a portfolio hub, the only way you can make that transformation is the retention of your top people. So you have to make, when you talk about customer focus, again, I'll say you have to make your internal customers your most important customers. If you're seeing 10, 15, 20% turnover every year, you don't have the opportunity to really transform yourself from a cost center to a portfolio hub. So you have to focus on training, you have to focus on opportunity, focus on people development, and that will give you the ability to upskill your folks so that they can make the move from a cost center to a true portfolio hub where you're providing advantage and value outside of just cost.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Breck, so much. As I see from your point of view is that organic growth probably, which is through training and internal processes, is what's most important for GCCs to grow, especially when it comes to customer experience. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.